Welcome to Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel. There she is. Hi, Heather. I can't hear you.
Hi. Is that better?
That is much better.
I always forget that I switch off my microphone.
No worries. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am fantastic and only going to get better.
Yeah, I am so not used to wearing a wig, so I'm always like very figuring it out as I go along whenever I put it on.
Oh, well, girl, we should hang out more because
Yeah,
all I wear are wigs. I'm a
yeah,
pro at this now.
you are. Yeah, gosh, I wish I had gotten comfortable with it, but it always felt like too warm of a hat. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
You
nope,
do
I want to be cool right now.
you do have to. Oh my God, I love your Wonder Woman mug.
I am like so decked out.
She is Wonder Woman. We love it. So
I almost
listen,
wore, I was trying to figure out what to wear on this for you because I know it's video recording. And I have like the Wonder Woman with the breast cancer ribbon. Almost wore that t-shirt, but I'm like, no, I think I want to be a little more dressed up today.
oh, I would have loved the Wonder Woman t-shirt. Like it just kind of goes with the whole theme of this thing, right? I see her
Right?
sitting
Yeah.
behind you, cheering you on and everything. The Wonder Woman
Yep.
16. I
Oh,
see her.
yeah.
I see
Yeah, you
her.
see it right there? Yeah. Yeah, she's my girl. And I've got this.
I love it. So
And
listen,
actually,
we are just having a conversation. I
yeah,
love the energy that we're already bringing. I want us to keep that shit up
sounds good.
and just have fun. The whole purpose of this is to just show women that there is life beyond breast cancer. And not only is there life beyond breast cancer, but it can be better than ever before,
For
right?
sure.
So that is the whole purpose. I sent you the questions that I'll be asking.
Yeah,
And we've been recording this whole time. I'll get my team to edit, us being too silly
perfect.
out, and we'll just take it from there. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Are you ready?
I am. How's the light for you? Because I can
Perfect.
adjust it. All right. 'Cause I'm
No, I
thinking
think
it
it's
looks a
perfect.
little bright. That's a
Your
little bit
your
better.
lighting is perfect. Your sound is perfect.
Good.
So I think on that end, we're good to go. I don't see any timestamps up here. I've been playing with StreamYard also because
Oh,
I
yep.
like how Zoom puts timestamps on everything. And I went to
Hmm.
go try. Anyway, moving on. So I'll get started. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dee Manuel Cloud, and I am a breast cancer recovery strategist, international speaker, and best-selling author. And thank you for tuning in to Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel. And today, here with us, we have an amazing survivor, Heather Albrecht. Am I saying that name correctly, Heather?
You nailed it. Good job.
Look at me. We have Heather Albrecht with us here today, and she is going to share her journey of inspiration, motivation, and determination on the upside of breast cancer. So thank you so much, Heather, and welcome.
Thanks for having me, Dee. I was looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, me too. I've been looking forward to this for weeks now. So thank you for jumping on. Thank you for adding to this project. And thank you for the message that you're about to deliver to the world. We appreciate you. So I always like to start out just getting a little related so that those who are watching can identify with women on the screen, right? So I always share that I'm a two-time breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed at the age of 35 with stage 2 inductal carcinoma, and then again at 38 with a recurrence. But as I always like to say, look at me now, right? I am now 16 years in remission. So, Heather, let's just start out with you. Tell us your age at the time of diagnosis and your diagnosis and the treatment plan you opted for.
Sure. Yes. So I was 38 years old. I found my lump myself. I'd been working out and was doing some self massage and realized that probably wasn't supposed to be there. Um, I quickly was in to see my primary care, who had me going for a mammogram, and it was found that it was cancer, and I was diagnosed stage 2B, triple positive invasive ductal carcinoma, like you.
Look at us having things in common already. It's
Oh,
the
and that
common
was, sorry, you asked me when that was. That was in March of 2022.
March of 2022. It's the club that nobody wants to be a part of, right?
For sure.
So tell us the treatment plan you opted for.
So I was told that chemo would be first for my treatment plan because of the subtype. So I did 6 rounds of chemotherapy. Then I opted to have a double mastectomy because of what was found in my imaging. My lump that I found was 2.5 centimeters. But when I had my MRI, they found that there were 2 other 1 centimeter lumps, which to me, that's a pretty good size tumor, and they weren't able to see it at all on the mammograms. So I knew that I personally was never going to trust the results of a mammogram again. And my breast surgeon told me that getting MRIs covered through insurance is generally a fight. And if I wasn't going to trust a mammogram and not be able to get MRIs frequently enough, then I figured that a double mastectomy was the way to go. So I opted to do that. And then I had 25 rounds of radiation, started hormone blockers. So I'm on Zoladex and anastrozole, so ovarian suppression and aromatase inhibitor. And then I just this past fall had a deep flap reconstruction.
Awesome sauce. And so tell me, you said a mouthful there. I'm gonna try to go back and recap some of the
Yeah.
things I heard because I'm late taking notes. But tell us how you're feeling on the medications you're on.
So the Zoladex and anastrozole, at first they were pretty brutal. I've been on them for about a year now. I'm like literally just coming up on a year. Um, the Zoladex injection I get once every 3 months. There's a every month version of it also. Um, and after I get it, I tend to have like an increase in hot flashes, and some of those menopausal symptoms. They kind of fade throughout the 3 month period of time. Um, so it's funny because they always ask me, they're like, "How are the hot flashes doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're doing great." And then they give me another injection, and I'm like, "Damn it, they were great." And so a month after the first Zoladex injection, then I started the anastrozole, and that's the estrogen blocker. I felt pretty decent on that for the first probably 4 months. I think I had an increase in joint pain during that time. And then right around the 5 month mark, I have a job, I have a business as a self-employed house cleaner. And so I'm pretty physical with what I do all day with work. I'm also a coach, but that's my main source of income still. And I was just getting to the point where I was in so much pain. Like my hands felt really quite arthritic, I guess is
Mhm.
probably the best way to say it. And I went back to occupational therapy for help with that. But in some of the breast cancer forums, I saw people saying that they were taking Claritin, which they tell you to use when you're on Neulasta during chemo, and that had helped with the joint pain from the aromatase inhibitors. So I figured I would give it a shot, and it's worked really well.
Wow.
Yeah, I added that in, and I've had a lot less pain, even before I went back out from work because I haven't gone back to work since my deep flap. Yeah, I'm working on that. But I did work for a while before that, while taking the Claritin alongside, and it really worked pretty well for me. So I'm pretty lucky in that regard.
I love that. So thank you for sharing that. I like to ask Heather, what were the deciding factors for you in deciding to take the medications following your chemo, radiation, and your surgery? And
Sure.
I can't
Yeah.
ever remember forgive me, y'all, I can't ever remember the name of these long medications.
No. Yeah, and some people use the generic and some people use the like name brand names. So yeah, no, it's pretty hard to remember. Um, don't hold that against you one bit. So I said from the beginning that pretty much whatever I was offered for treatment, I would try. Um, I wanted to reduce my risk of recurrence as much as possible. And even if it's a very small amount, then I'm happy to do it. And my breast surgeon actually, she kind of hammered home the fact that the hormone blockers are our best chance or our best defense against recurrence, since everything we do for chemo and radiation and the surgery, that's all to remove what's there and what they can see. And the chemo obviously can help with what you can't see, but the hormone blockers basically cut off the food source for any tumors. And so thinking about it in that regard and knowing that I wanted the best case scenario for reduction of recurrence, I was all for it. And actually, at my last appointment with my oncologist just last week, she recommended Nerlinx, which is a HER2 targeted drug that can reduce recurrence risk. And nobody had mentioned that to me as of yet. So she's looking into whether or not I still qualify to take it, since it's been nearly a year since I finished the Herceptin and Perjeta infusions.
Okay, so you're done with those.
Yep, I finished those in May of 2023.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so this would be one single medication that you decide if you decided to take. How long
Mhm.
would you be on it?
I guess they put you on it for a year.
Okay.
So
And
the
and
aromatase, sorry, the aromatase inhibitors and the ovarian suppression, they help with the estrogen and progesterone positive portion of my tumors. But once I stopped the HP injection or infusions, I was no longer doing anything for the HER2 part of the feeding of tumors. And since
mhm.
that's the super aggressive part, I'm pretty pumped to be on a med that would also combat that aspect.
Awesome. Awesome. And so one of the things that I'm always sharing with women is that every case is different and you really have to do what feels best to you. And I'm always encouraging ladies to just get still and listen to what Gus, God, the universe, the source, is saying to you, right? Because I opted, even after my recurrence, to not take any medications.
Yeah.
They offered me tamoxifen and I declined because my question to them was, is this going to reduce, is it, no, my question was, will this ensure that my cancer doesn't come back? Not mine, because I don't own it, sorry. The cancer, will
Right.
this guarantee that the cancer won't come back? And my response was, we don't have any guarantees whatsoever, which of course, no one can guarantee you that cancer is not going to return, but we can reduce our risk. So I opted to not, right? It was a risk I was willing to take. I decided if it came back, I would cross that bridge once I got to it. And again, I'm 16 years in remission, so I don't regret my choice. And again, if it comes back, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But the
Yep.
side effects for me of tamoxifen just weren't worth it for me. At that stage in my life, I was only 38 years old, and I just thought, I don't want to live 5 years like this. I decided that my quality of life was just as important, if not as important, as my quantity of life. I didn't
I
want to
agree.
be miserable, and the side effects sounded miserable to me. And so, for any woman listening, I just want to encourage you to do what feels right and what feels best for you. I love what you shared when you said, I decided from the beginning that whatever treatment options they had for me, that I would opt in. So you knew right from the start what your options, what your plan was for whatever they offered you. I didn't. I was just kind of marking off the boxes as I went along. So thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that with us. And so tell me now, what, if any, lessons did you learn on your breast cancer journey?
Oh, so many. um, and I totally agree with you that everybody has to evaluate those decisions on their own. And I definitely tried to say that that was just my decision making. Everybody's
Absolutely.
got individual on making those choices. So yeah, I mean, my biggest lesson from all of this was at the very beginning when I was diagnosed. I remember talking to one of my coaches, and I asked her to just help me like think through where I was at right now. And I remember telling her that just like my brain was such a jumbled up mess and I just needed to like get clear on one thing. And she asked me some great questions. I did a lot of journaling and, got to the point where, and within a couple of days, I got to this point that I knew that I wanted to be an example of going through this treatment strong and taking care of myself mentally. I'd been a coach for a while at that point. By the time I was diagnosed, I'd been coaching for about 3 years. And actually, I guess, yeah, 3 years. And I wanted to be an example of what was possible for handling treatment. I didn't want to downplay, how I was feeling in the moment, but I wanted to be strong. I have two teenagers and I wanted them to see me going through things and like honoring my feelings. But at the same time, I didn't want to hit pause on my life
Mhm.
and not enjoy moments of my life. And so for me, it was being really mindful of how I felt in the moment. And so from the beginning, that was kind of how I got through just that initial diagnosis. I mean, I had my mammogram and ultrasound on a Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. And then I had my biopsy on a Monday. So I had all this time in the middle, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot when you're when you're
When you're
waiting for
waiting.
something like that. And, I had the opinion that my radiologist wasn't going to say to someone, "I'm pretty sure you have breast cancer," unless she was pretty sure she knew what she was saying.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I felt pretty confident from just what she was seeing that she knew what she was talking about. There was a little niggling of hope there that like it would come back negative, but I was probably 99% sure that that was what was going to happen, that I was going to be diagnosed. So I I started taking things as they were just in that moment. Like the only thing that changed from before the mammogram to after the mammogram was information. My body felt the same. My, my energy level was the same. The only thing that changed was my thoughts about the information that I had just been told. And so I decided that I was going to really concentrate on how I physically felt in the moment, and that that was probably going to be a really good way to get through any sort of treatment plan. Um, and it really was. If you've ever read Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, this is such a great book,
Yes.
and it just being mindful. So body scan meditations, focusing on any good moment. So like anytime anything fun happened or good happened, with my kids or a great meal, food tasting good, like whatever it was, I just really kind of tried to sink in and absorb those moments so that when I was, unhappy with the taste of water because it was disgusting, or took a bite of my favorite fruit, raspberries, and found that they tasted literally horrible, I because of chemo, I was able to get past that. And I journaled a ton. Like I wrote down how I felt after chemo. Like every day I would write like what my symptoms and side effects were. And so I got to the point where I knew exactly when like water tasted better again and food tasted better
Oh,
again. And so I
wow.
just had to like get through those days. And it's just that, like, creating a light at the end of the tunnel for yourself.
I
Because
love
when you
that.
don't know when it's going to get better, it's really tough to get through things, right? But if you have a timeline, it becomes easier. And all the unknowns are really hard. So like the first time you do anything, I think is really scary and difficult. But you can put on your brave pants and go and do that unknown thing one time, and then the next time you know what to expect.
And
Like
I
I
think
hate,
that's true for anything, right?
yeah, oh,
I,
definitely. Yeah, this is
I
advice
love
for
that.
life.
I love that. Like the first time for anything, the unknowns are scary. But then once you do the thing and you have the information, you're like, okay, I can do this.
Hmm.
You know what to expect. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Heather. That's
Yeah.
some great, that's a great word. That's great to take into any life circumstance. Only the first time is challenging because you don't have the information. It's kind of like when I bungee jumped. I'll
Oh, I
never do,
bet.
I'll never
Although
do
I
it.
don't think I'm signing up for that, my dear. Good for
I
you.
will never do it again.
What's with enough?
Once was enough. Right. So tell me, Heather, what it means to you now to thrive and how that shows up in your life.
Such a good question. Um, I was thinking about this the other day actually, because I've been working on my business a lot, and I was thinking about how there are things that I haven't wanted to do, and like I haven't been, I guess, brave enough to do. And now it's hard to not put everything through the lens of like, well, I made it through chemo and deciding to have my breasts amputated and, like all of those things. It's like, what's really hard after you've done that? And so I try I think I've definitely gotten a little bit more audacious, maybe, with the things that I'll say and things that I'll try than I was before. I've always been kind of reserved and, weighing all of the pros and cons of a situation, which I definitely still do, but I think I'm a little bit more likely to try something kind of crazy.
No, I listen, that's how I ended up bungee jumping,
Yeah, I
right?
bet.
Because after cancer, my mindset has just been much like yours. After cancer, everything else is small, right? It's like I survived one of the hardest things in my life. And so it sets the standard and the tone for every scary thing that I'm going to do next. So I love that it made you, that was absolutely my lesson. It made me more brave. It made me more audacious. It made me more of a risk taker.
Hmm.
So I identify with what you just said.
Yeah. I've always considered myself somebody with a pretty good level of resilience. And trusted the fact that whatever happened, I would be able to get through it, one way or another. And I think like I carried that belief about myself before I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think it really helped me getting through the treatment. There's that big unknown in the beginning when you don't know like what stage you're at and what you're looking at. So I can't say how I would feel if I was facing a metastatic diagnosis. But from the perspective that I was, and having a great oncologist who, really hammered home the fact that this was a curable situation, um, I believed that. And one of the other lessons for me was that I needed to lean into trust with my medical team, um, and really putting my faith in the fact that they have my best interests at heart with what they're doing, and they're doing the best they can with the information they have currently. So, that changes over time. And because medicine is an art, not a science, right? Or it's both, but that's why we practice it. um so I that for me, like receiving was a big gift also throughout treatment, like realizing the team that I had around me, the community that I had around me that like was here to support my family, um and being more comfortable with receiving help and
Mm.
support. That was a really big lesson for me because before I was very resistant to help. And rest also. Like I still, despite some things in my past that should have taught me that rest was good and necessary and helpful. um, this is really what hammered that home.
I think that you're not alone in that, Heather, because many women that I've talked to, especially breast cancer survivors and those who are currently on their journey, find it hard to receive help, find it hard to ask for help. And I believe personally that it's that vulnerability piece, right? It's hard to be vulnerable. And so thank you for sharing that in addition to becoming more audacious and brave, that it helped you become a little bit more vulnerable and okay with saying, I want, not only do I need help, I want help and I'm accepting and receiving help. So
Hmm.
thank you for that, because I think that that's going to resonate with a lot of women that are not okay receiving help or don't know even what it feels like to be on the receiving end because we are such givers. So thank you for that.
And I think prideful, right? Of being strong and
Yes,
independent. Like that's something that we wear as like a badge of honor, being strong and independent and not needing help. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Is there anything you would do differently?
Oh boy. Huh. That's I've not thought of this. Um
I know I kind of threw that one in there.
yeah, you did. What would I do differently? Hmm. I don't really think there's anything I would do differently.
I love it. I love it. That's great. That means that you have really considered your options, your actions, your thoughts, and you are aligned with every choice you made. I think that's perfect. I don't think that that wasn't a trick question. There didn't need to be anything, right? For me, if I had it to do all over again, what I would do differently is when I got my first diagnosis, I did a lumpectomy
Mhm.
because I was 35. I wanted to preserve my breast.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
afraid of the amputation of breasts. It just sounded horrific to me.
Yeah.
So if I had it to do all over again, I'd go right in and do a double mastectomy right off the bat. So
Yeah.
that would be my thing of what I would do differently. So Heather, we're almost at the end of our interview, and
Okay.
I want to ask what you're up to now and how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah. So, my coaching practice is a financial coaching practice, but in 2023, after I got through the majority of my treatment, I expanded who I serve. And I'm also doing happiness and fulfillment life coaching. So I have two programs now. I have Balance and Prosper, which is my financial coaching practice, and then I have Harmony Within, which is my life coaching practice. And I'm really excited to be doing really both of those things, but very excited to try to help people to find the joy in their life and reconnect with that at a deeper level despite whatever adversities they're going through at the time. It's again, it's that like not hitting pause on your life during the hard times because you never know how long they're going to last and you're just putting yourself last and like living in survival mode when you could still be enjoying your life during those time frames. So people can find me at Heather Albrecht Coaching. I'm not sure how this will be edited, but it is on the screen right now. And I'm sure I can provide Dee with the information and some links. You can follow me on Instagram at _coach_Heather or find my Facebook page.
Awesome sauce. Well, listen, when this gets uploaded to YouTube, it'll still have all of your information there.
Oh,
And you'll get to be able to add any links to your social medias um, in the comments so that people
certainly.
can locate you, right?
Oh, I
Thank
have
you.
something. Can I
Sure.
share one thing that people could get for free?
Of course, be my
Okay, cool.
pleasure.
So, if you visit my website, there is a freebie that you can sign up for and download, and it's a stress release workbook, and it has some questions to help you journal through, and then some tactics for relieving stress in the moment. And some of them are super totally what I used while I was going through treatment. Just, the first time I had radiation, all that stuff. So some really valuable tools that I would love for you to have in your toolbox.
I love that. And if anybody can lead others on how to find joy and happiness during the tough times, I believe that's Heather. So please feel free to look her up, get those freebies. The website is heatheralbrechtcoaching.com.
It is. Yep.
All right. See, all intuitive and whatnot.
You're so good.
So heatheralbrechtcoaching.com for those freebies. Thank you so much, Heather, for sharing your wisdom, sharing your stories, sharing your vulnerability, sharing your resilience with us. And I love you for being here and giving that hope and inspiration to others. Do you have anything you want to share with us before we disconnect?
Just a thank you for doing what you do, Dee, because this is really important for people to be able to have. I appreciate it.
Oh, I believe that and I receive it. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel. If you like what you've seen and heard today, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, turn on your notifications so you can get notified of other inspirational stories like Heather's. Thank y'all for tuning in. And remember, we're thriving on purpose. Bye for now. For more inspirational stories like these, please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember to turn on your notifications. Thank you for rocking with us. And remember, we're thriving on purpose.